Let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why some people achieve extraordinary results while others with the same opportunities remain stuck in mediocrity? I've spent 40 years studying success, and I'll tell you something fascinating. There's a simple rule that makes all the difference. It's not complicated, it's not mysterious, but most people miss it entirely. You see, life rewards action, not knowledge. Life rewards decisions, not intentions. And today I want to share with you the fundamental principle that creates the gap between average and great. This isn't just another idea. This is the cornerstone of exceptional achievement in any area of life. Most people know what to do. The information is out there. The strategies exist. The blueprints are available. Yet, most still live average lives. Why? Because knowing isn't enough. Not by a long shot. Let's talk about the problem of average for a moment. Average isn't some accident. Average is a choice. Nobody ever wrote down, my goal is to be mediocre on their list of life ambitions. Yet, mediocrity happens. Not because people plan it, but because they fail to plan against it. The average person lives in what I call the comfort zone. It's not really comfortable, but it's familiar. And human beings will choose familiar discomfort over unfamiliar potential almost every time. Think about that. We'll stay in situations we don't even like simply because we know what to expect. The average person works just hard enough not to get fired and gets paid just enough not to quit. The average person reads less than one book per year. The average person spends more time planning their vacation than planning their life. The average person spends more money on entertainment than education. But here's what concerns me about average. Average comes with a cost. And that cost is regret. I've never met someone at the end of their life who said, I wish I'd been more average. I wish I'd dreamed smaller. I wish I'd taken fewer chances. The regret always comes from the opposite direction. From the opportunities not seized, the potential not reached, the greatness left on the table. So what causes this great divide? What separates those who achieve remarkable things from those who merely exist? After years of observation, after interviewing hundreds of successful people, after studying the patterns of achievement, I've found it comes down to one simple rule. Here it is. Great people do what average people are unwilling to do. That's it. No magic formula, no secret ingredient. Just a fundamental truth about human achievement. Greatness isn't about talent. It isn't about luck. It isn't about connections. Those things matter, but they're not decisive. What's decisive is your willingness to do what others won't. This rule works everywhere. It works in business. It works in relationships. It works for health. It works for wealth. It works for happiness. Wherever you find excellence, you'll find people willing to pay a price that average people won't pay. Now, let me explain this rule more clearly, because understanding it is just the beginning. Living it is where transformation happens. The rule works because of how reality is structured. Success isn't handed out randomly. It follows certain laws, just like gravity or thermodynamics. One of those laws is the law of cause and effect. Every effect in your life has a specific cause. If you want to change the effect, you must change the causes. Great results require great actions. Average results come from average actions. It's that simple. And yet most people keep hoping for better results while maintaining the same actions. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same things but expecting different results. Look at history. Look at any field of human endeavor. The great ones, they didn't necessarily work harder. They worked differently. They did things others weren't willing to do. Thomas Edison tried over 10,000 designs before creating a functioning light bulb. Walt Disney was rejected by 302 banks before getting financing for Disneyland. Abraham Lincoln failed in business, failed in politics, suffered a nervous breakdown, and still became one of our greatest presidents. What separated them wasn't just persistence. It was their willingness to do what others wouldn't. This rule has survived the test of time because it's built on the bedrock of human nature and achievement. It's not a passing trend or a fleeting strategy. It's a principle as old as human striving itself. Now here's where this gets practical. The difference between average and great often comes down to small, daily choices that compound over time. It's not about grand, heroic moments. It's about consistent actions that most people aren't willing to take. The great athlete isn't just practicing during team sessions. They're putting in extra hours when no one's watching. The great entrepreneur isn't just working during business hours. They're solving problems while competitors are sleeping. The great parent isn't just showing up for the big events. They're present for the small moments that shape a child's character. Let me give you the mathematics of excellence. If you improve just 1% each day, in a year you'll be 37 times better. Not 365% better, 37 times better, because improvement compounds. But if you decline by 1% each day, you'll approach zero. Small choices, massive difference. Consider your health. The average person knows they should exercise regularly. The average person knows they should eat nutritious food. The average person knows they should get enough sleep. But knowing isn't doing. The great ones don't just know, they do. They make those small daily choices when nobody's looking. Consider your finances. The average person spends first and saves what's left, which is usually nothing. The great ones save first and spend what's left. The average person works for money. The great ones make money work for them. The average person borrows. The great ones invest. Consider your relationships. The average person takes their closest relationships for granted. The great ones invest in those relationships daily. Average people speak without thinking. Great ones think before speaking. Average people react. Great ones respond. These aren't complicated distinctions. They're simple choices made daily, but over time they create an enormous gap between mediocrity and excellence. Now, let's talk about the foundation of this rule. Discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Nothing of significance happens without it. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's about punishment or restriction. But true discipline is about freedom. It's about choosing your hard. Because life is hard either way. You can choose the hard of discipline, or you can choose the hard of regret. And believe me, the hard of regret is much, much harder. I've watched people transform their lives not through sudden bursts of inspiration, but through steady discipline applied consistently. The struggling salesman who makes 5 more calls each day. The overweight individual who walks an extra 15 minutes daily. The student who studies an additional half hour when everyone else has quit. Small disciplines, remarkable results. Part of discipline is creating the right environment. You can't keep cookies in the house and blame yourself for lacking willpower. You can't leave your phone by your bed and wonder why you check it first thing in the morning. Great people design their environment to make good decisions easier and poor decisions harder. Another aspect of discipline is keeping your word to yourself. When you say you'll do something and then don't do it, you're teaching yourself not to trust your own commitments. When you make a promise to yourself and keep it, especially when it's difficult, you build self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of all achievement. So how do we apply this rule in our work? Let me be specific, because general advice isn't very helpful. In your professional life, doing what others won't might mean being the first one in and the last one out. Not to impress the boss, but to master your craft. It might mean volunteering for the difficult project that everyone else avoids. It might mean reading industry publications when others are scrolling social media. It might mean asking questions when others stay silent to avoid looking foolish. I know a woman who became the top salesperson in her company, not because she was naturally gifted at sales, but because she made 50 calls a day when everyone else made 20. I know a teacher who transformed a failing classroom by spending his summers visiting each student's home. I know an entrepreneur who built a thriving business by personally responding to customer complaints while competitors used automated systems. Excellence at work isn't complicated. Show up early, stay late when needed, do more than expected, solve problems without being asked, take responsibility rather than placing blame, keep promises, maintain a positive attitude when others are complaining. None of these actions require special talent, just uncommon character. Now, what about your personal life? How does this rule apply there? In your health, doing what others won't might mean preparing meals for the week while others rely on fast food. It might mean exercising at 5 a.m. while others sleep in. It might mean drinking water when others reach for soda. It might mean going to bed on time when others binge watch shows until midnight. In your relationships, it might mean turning off your phone during dinner when others stay glued to their screens. It might mean apologizing first when you're both wrong. It might mean truly listening when someone speaks instead of waiting for your turn to talk. It might mean expressing gratitude daily rather than taking people for granted. With your finances, it might mean living below your means while others stretch to impress people they don't even like. It might mean investing 20% of your income while others save nothing. It might mean learning about money management when others avoid the subject entirely. It might mean working a side hustle when others complain about their single income. What separates financially independent people from those struggling paycheck to paycheck isn't usually income, it's behavior. I've known janitors who became millionaires and doctors who filed for bankruptcy. Income is good, behavior is better. These applications aren't revolutionary. They're not even particularly clever, but they work, and most people won't do them consistently. That's the opportunity. Now, I need to address something important. What happens when you start living by this rule? What happens when you begin doing what average people won't do? You'll face obstacles. Guaranteed. You'll face external obstacles, circumstances, setbacks, unexpected challenges. The economy will fluctuate, people will disappoint you, plans will fall apart. That's life. It happens to everyone. But you'll also face internal obstacles. Doubt, fear, uncertainty, fatigue. Some days you won't feel like continuing. Some days the gap between your efforts and your results will seem enormous. Some days you'll question whether it's worth it. This is where the second part of the rule comes in. Great people persist when average people quit. Average people stop when they face obstacles. Great people find a way through, around, or over those obstacles. Average people quit when results don't come quickly. Great people understand that the best results take time. Average people give up when they fail. Great people use failure as feedback. I once asked a highly successful businessman, what was the turning point in your career? I expected him to mention a big deal or a lucky break. Instead, he said, the day I decided I would not let my future be determined by my circumstances or my feelings, but by my decisions and action. That's persistence. The refusal to let temporary setbacks become permanent defeat. Persistence isn't just continuing to act. It's continuing to learn and adapt while acting. If something isn't working, great people don't mindlessly persist in the same approach. They try something different while maintaining their commitment to the goal. Think about any significant achievement in history. Behind it, you'll find persistence. The Wright brothers faced countless failures before achieving flight. Martin Luther King Jr. faced brutal opposition but kept marching. Marie Curie conducted thousands of experiments before her breakthrough discoveries. They all understood that the path to greatness runs directly through adversity. When you face obstacles, and you will, remember this: the obstacle isn't there to stop you, but to test how badly you want it. The obstacle isn't your enemy, but your teacher. The obstacle isn't blocking your path, it is your path. And here's something fascinating about living by this rule. It creates a ripple effect throughout your entire life. Excellence isn't compartmentalized, it spreads. When you start doing what others won't in one area, it becomes easier to do it in other areas. When you build discipline in your health habits, that discipline flows into your work habits. When you develop persistence in your professional life, that persistence strengthens your personal relationship. This happens because character isn't situational, it's structural. You're building who you are, not just what you do. And who you are shows up everywhere. I've noticed something remarkable about people who live by this rule. They attract other excellence-minded individuals. Their circle of influence naturally shifts. As they raise their standards, people around them either rise to meet those standards or fade from their lives. Some call this losing friends, but I call it making room for the right relationship. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so when you're unwilling to be average, your associations naturally upgrade. Another fascinating aspect of this ripple effect is how it impacts your identity. When you consistently do what others won't, you begin to see yourself differently. Your self-pygmeasure transforms. Where once you might have thought, I'm trying to exercise regularly, you eventually think, I am someone who prioritizes health. That shift from attempting behaviors to embodying qualities is powerful. It moves excellence from what you do to who you are. There's also a compound effect to greatness. Small actions consistently taken don't just add up, they multiply. The returns aren't linear, they're exponential. Year 1 might show modest results. Year 5 might show solid results. Year 10 might show remarkable results. Year 20 might show results that seem miraculous to outside observers. I call this the momentum of excellence. Like a flywheel, it's hard to get moving initially, but once it gains speed, it generates its own energy. Success breeds success. Discipline builds upon discipline. Achievement. This momentum creates what some call lucky breaks. I've studied success long enough to know there's not much luck involved. What looks like luck to outsiders is usually preparation meeting opportunity. When you consistently do what others won't, you position yourself where good fortune can find you. You create your own luck through constant preparation and improvement. I've watched people transform their lives using this principle. I knew a young man who started reading just 10 pages of a good book every day, a small action most weren't willing to take. Within 5 years, he had read over 150 books and completely changed his thinking, his income, and his future. I knew a woman who began saving just $100, 0 cents per month, when everyone told her it wasn't enough to matter. 20 years later, with the power of compound interest, she had accumulated substantial wealth. Small actions, extraordinary results, but only for those willing to do what others won't. So now, let me ask you, what will you do with this rule? Because knowing it isn't enough. Agreement isn't enough. Occasional application isn't enough. This rule must become your operating system, not just an app you sometimes use. Here's what I suggest. Specific steps you can take immediately. First, identify one area where you've been settling for average. Be honest with yourself. Where have you been doing what everyone else does and getting what everyone else gets? Is it your health, your work, your relationships, your finances, your personal growth? Pick one area to start. Second, determine the daily disciplines that create excellence in that area. What specific actions separate the great from the average? Don't guess, study. Find people who have achieved what you want to achieve and learn their habits. Read their books, take their courses, follow their example. Third, start small but be consistent. Don't try to transform everything overnight. Choose 1 or 2 key actions and commit to them daily. Remember, small disciplines done consistently lead to massive results over time. Fourth, create accountability. Tell someone else what you're committing to do. Report your progress regularly. Join a group of like-minded strivers. Hire a coach if necessary. External accountability bridges the gap until internal discipline fully forms. Fifth, Measure your progress. What gets measured gets improved. Keep a journal, use an app, create a spreadsheet. However you do it, track what you're doing and the results you're getting. This creates feedback that allows you to adjust your approach. Sixth, expect resistance and plan for it. Know in advance that your initial enthusiasm will fade. Prepare for the moments when you don't feel like continuing. Create if-then plans. If I don't feel like exercising, then I'll just put on my workout clothes and do 10 minutes. Often getting started is the hardest part. Finally, celebrate your wins, but never your completion. This is a lifelong practice, not a short-term project. Each achievement is a milestone, not a finish line. Use your successes to fuel further growth, not to justify complacency. Let me be very clear about something. This work isn't easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it, and it wouldn't create any advantage. The very difficulty is what makes it valuable. But here's the good news. While the work isn't easy, the concept is simple. Do what others won't. That's it. You don't need special talents. You don't need unusual opportunities. You don't need perfect circumstances. You just need the willingness to do what the average person is unwilling to do. And you need to start today, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when you feel more motivated. Today, because here's a hard truth. Time is passing whether you use it or waste it. A year from now, you'll be a year older. The only question is, will you be a year better? Will you be closer to greatness or still stuck in average? I want you to consider something powerful. The decisions you make today create the life you live tomorrow. Most people don't realize how their daily choices compound. They think it doesn't matter if they skip their exercise today. They think it doesn't matter if they put off that important conversation. They think it doesn't matter if they delay their savings another month. But it all matters. It all compounds either for you or against you. Another year of average habits creates another year of average results. Another year of great habits creates another year of great results. The gap between the two grows wider with each passing day. So I challenge you right now, today, make a decision. Not an intention, not a hope, not a wish, but a decision. Will you live by the average standard or the greatness standard? Will you do what others won't, or will you do what everyone else does? This decision isn't made once. It's made daily, hourly, in the small moments when no one is watching. It's made when you have every excuse to take the easy path, but choose the excellent path instead. Let me tell you something powerful about decisions. Most people don't make them. They think they do, but what they actually make are preferences. I'd prefer to be in better shape. I'd prefer to have more money. I'd prefer to have better relationships. Preferences hold no power. Decisions change everything. A true decision means cutting off all other possibilities. The word decision comes from Latin, meaning to cut off. When you truly decide, you eliminate every other option. There's no plan B. There's no trying. There's only doing what must be done, regardless of circumstances, convenience, or comfort. I've seen people's lives transform in an instant when they finally made a real decision, not because the action was immediate, but because the commitment was total. Everything changed because they changed. They drew a line in their life and said, from this day forward, I will no longer accept less than I can be, do, give, or have. Well, this kind of decision has a price. You'll lose some friends. You'll face criticism. You'll have moments of doubt. You'll be tempted to return to old, comfortable patterns. The price seems high until you compare it with the price of not deciding. The cost of an average life filled with potential never realized, dreams never pursued, and contributions never made. The ancient Greeks had a saying, character is destiny. I believe this is true, and character isn't formed in moments of great challenge. It's formed in the small, everyday moments when you choose discipline over convenience, long-term satisfaction over short-term pleasure, growth over comfort. I've noticed that people who make this decision to pursue greatness share certain qualities. They have unusual clarity about what matters to them. They focus on what they want, not what they don't want. They take full responsibility for their lives rather than blaming circumstances. They act from their deepest values rather than responding to external pressures. They measure themselves against their previous performance, not against others. These qualities aren't magical or mysterious. They're choices. Choices that anyone can make, including you, right here, right now. And when you make these choices, something remarkable happens. Your energy changes. Your confidence grows. Your impact expands. People notice the difference, even if they can't quite name what's different about you. You begin to operate from a place of certainty that most people never experience. Your background doesn't determine your future. Your resources don't determine your future. Even your past choices don't determine your future. Your current and future choices determine your future. So choose greatness. Choose to do what others won't. Choose the path of discipline, persistence, and continuous improvement. It's not the easy path, but it's the fulfilling path. It's not the common path, but it's the rewarding path. I want you to think about the legacy you're creating. Every day, with every choice, you're writing your life story. What story are you writing? Is it a story of someone who settled for less than they could be, or is it the story of someone who relentlessly pursued excellence despite obstacles and setbacks? Your life will speak for itself. Your results will tell the tale. No amount of good intentions or positive thinking can overcome mediocre actions consistently taken. And no obstacle can permanently stop excellent actions consistently taken. Years from now, when you look back on your life, you won't regret the times you chose excellence over mediocrity. You won't regret the disciplines you maintained. You won't regret the obstacles you overcame. Your only regrets will be the times you settled for less than you could have been. So don't settle. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Refuse to be average in a world that accepts average. Refuse to do only what others are willing to do. Refuse to let circumstance, convenience, or comfort determine your choices. Instead, let your vision for your best life drive your daily actions. Let your commitment to greatness guide your smallest decisions. Let your desire for an extraordinary life override your momentary preferences. This path isn't for everyone. Most people will choose comfort over growth, certainty over adventure, security over possibility. That's their choice. But it doesn't have to be yours. You can be different. You can be exceptional. You can be remarkable, not because you were born with special gifts, but because you're willing to do what others won't. I believe we all have a purpose larger than ourselves. I believe we're meant to grow, contribute, and make a difference. I believe greatness isn't reserved for a select few, but is available to anyone willing to pay the price. And the first installment of that price is deciding, truly deciding, that average is no longer acceptable. Remember, great people do what average people are unwilling to do. That's the simple rule that separates average from great. Now it's up to you to live by it. Start today, start now. Your future self will thank you for it.